Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, family and friends. Back again. What a weekend. What a weekend. First, I want to say, condolences for those that were caught up in the flooding here in Texas, the flash flooding. And I know that some folks are like, this is not a time to be talking about politics, but I do have to mention, as unfortunate as it is, that's what some folks voted for. There were, DOGE layoffs as well as funding cuts to FEMA and the National Weather Service that went to ICE agents and tax cuts for the rich. And those offices are understaffed. So the alerts aren't going out as frequently as they should to warn people of these type of things, okay? So that's number one. And the last I heard that the toll was up to 80 something people that are lost and no longer with us. And it's just like the airplanes when the FAA was defunded and they said, oh, there's a bunch of DEI hires, we got to fire a bunch of people. There's hospitals that are closing in Nebraska because of the Medicaid cuts. And now the Weather Service, the National Weather Service that's had cuts to it, they aren't able to send out alerts because they're understaffed. I mean, they send them out, but not as frequently. We all get those little things on our phone that beep and loud and all that stuff. Well, there's a person who usually does that, and okay. Hopefully, and I say this lightly, but it's a heavy subject. The folks that did vote for this, the ones who's lost children in the camp, would they change their votes if they knew that this was going to be a result or a possible result? I don't know. Whew. Now, in other news, and this seems to be a big topic over the weekend, so big that they had to remove the videos. They took the videos offline of Haitians in New York, Brooklyn, fighting back against ICE agents. ICE agents were trying to snatch and grab people, and the Haitians weren't having it. They were pulling ICE agents off of people, escorting people away from ICE agents. They said, not in our hood. Now, these Haitians, they had something was called TPS, Temporary Protected Status, which gives them work visas and allows them to be in the country. And just arbitrarily, Trump decided to cancel those TPS protections and said, well, let's go and start deporting some of these darker skinned people. And FAFO, that didn't work out the way they thought it would, and those people said, hey, if I'm gonna die, I'll die right here. You're not sending me nowhere to go die. And that's what happened. Now, I've seen Spanish folks, Mexicans saying, oh, this is what we need to do. They're just like us. And no. These Haitians were out there during the Black Lives Matter marches. Some of y'all weren't. These Haitians understood how racism affects them in this country. Some of y'all don't. And man, it's only going to get worse, man. Tornadoes in Missouri where people are getting hurt, and hurricane season is coming. These DOGE. I'm a little tongue-tied because this is horrible. This is horrible. And all the fun, for lack of a better term, and I'm just gonna say it, a racist agenda with ICE, and it's just. I told you guys so. Many people told you so, but are they going to listen? We won't know until the midterm elections if they vote out these MAGA folks, because Wow. Anyway, that's, National Weather Service being understaffed, FAA understaffed, farmers, all these folks that voted for Trump now. I don't know. What did you learn? What did you learn? And as far as the Haitians in New York, I tip my hat, but who knows what type of response is going to happen from that. I'm not saying don't, I grew up in the 80s. Public Enemy said, fight the power. I do not advocate for violence or anyone getting hurt, but you can only push people so far before they push back, and that's what's happening. Anyway, I want to say thank you again, guys, for watching my video. I'm a little discombobulated because this is tragic. This is bad, and who knows what other things are going to be affect us because of all these cuts. These agencies have a reason to be there, and you think that there's waste, you think that there's fraud. I can tell you where to start looking. Start looking at the people that are elected, the ones that are millionaires now making all this money. That's where the real fraud is. But it's the right hand not telling the left hand what they're doing. They're trying to keep you distracted with other nonsense instead of paying attention to these rich people getting richer. Anyway, thank you again, and I'm going to put the link for the YouTube. If you wouldn't mind clicking on it, thank you, and have a good afternoon.